How you doing? This is Sean McVeigh with Sean's Outdoor Adventures, and in this video I want to review the BowTech Range 6 and Range 7. We're going to be shooting those. We're going to shoot them at the performance setting and at the comfort setting just to see how they vary in speed and how loud they are, things like that. So I'm going to measure the brace height, the axle, then we'll shoot them through the chronograph. And we got a decibel meter running here. We'll be able to see how loud it is, compare those numbers to the other bows that I've reviewed and will be reviewing. So previous episodes I did Hoyt, Expedition. Coming up next we'll be doing Matthews and Prime after this. So make sure you check out those videos as well. But for right now, let me put the measuring tape on this, get our brace height, axle to axle, and get going. So the Range 6 is right at 6 inches on my tape here. And my axle to axle is coming in at 32 3/8. The weight of the bow is 4.72. Now I'm going to use my vibration meter here. I've been using this for all the bows. However, this particular one is not as accurate as I would like it to be. I'm going to follow through and shoot them all with it anyway, but next year I'm definitely going to have to get something better. 7.6. Now I'll shoot the 350 grain arrow, or excuse me, 550. The last was 350, this one is 550. Alright, so I'm going to shoot my 350 grain arrows first, so that's 5 grains per pound. And this is the performance setting, and it is a little bit of a choppy draw cycle, I'll say. Like right there, it's sort of, I mean, when it comes in into that back wall there, it's almost like it's not smooth. There's a little bit of a chop at the end, and as far as, you know, the back wall is fairly solid, which is nice for a cable stop, you know, when the limb stops or for the cables. Comes off, I would give it about 8 or 9 out of 10. .347. Just like last year, I mean, when this bow goes off, it's pretty much dead in your hand. I mean, it doesn't go anywhere. I have my fingers touching so that I don't drop it, but I'm not like gripping the bow, and it doesn't really go anywhere. 347. .347. 75.4. Alright, now I'm going to shoot it with the 550 grain arrow. .281. It's definitely a very fast bow. .282. 72.4. Okay, now I'm going to shoot the Range 6 on the comfort setting. And they used to have, you know, I think 3 different settings. Now it's just performance and comfort. You basically, they call it a flip disc, I think, or you flip the disc over right here to go from performance to comfort. So the Range 6, 5 grain per pound arrow, I'm trying to let down right now. It really stays on the back wall. In the comfort setting, 10 out of 10 for the back wall as far as letting down off the back wall, and very solid, which it's really nice for cable stops. That's a real solid back wall. 338. Definitely impressed with the way it feels, those details on the comfort setting. I'm trying to let down. I heard my point was a little. That's nice. See, I like that. I like it when it feels like you have to almost push it forward, and it doesn't move in your hand. It doesn't jump out of your hand. Very nice. Oops. Okay, now I'll do it with the 550 grain arrow. $274. Thank you. $274. 72.6. $274. Alright, now I'm going to do the Rain 7. Brace height's dead on at 7 inches. And axle to axle, 32 3/8. Weight of the bow, 4.72. Shoot it with the 350 grain arrow first. So we were at 3. Yeah. This one actually doesn't have as bad of a chop at the end, very end of the draw cycle. 333, 76.6. It's impressive how big of a difference that 1 inch of brace height makes on this bow. Going from 347 to 333 between the two. 333. Alright, now I'm going to shoot the 550 grain arrow. $270. $69. $269. Okay, now I'm going to shoot the Rain 7 on the comfort setting with the 5 grain per pound arrow, so 350 grain. I'm trying to let down right now. Really stays on nice. I like that. Solid back wall. 324. I mean, this is a really nice bow. If you want the speed, you can get it, but then that comfort setting, that really kind of hits some of the things that appeal to me. .324. Very consistent. Now I'll shoot the 550 grain arrow. $262. $261. I really like the technology that BowTech has been putting in their bows right now. I really like that cam shift technology where you can have their performance or their comfort setting. I mean, it really is 2 bows in one. The comfort setting gives you a really solid back wall, and you almost can't let down. You almost have to push your hand forward, and I really like that because When you're at full draw, I like to relax my muscles that I'm not using to stay at full draw. And some bows, if it comes off that back wall real easy, it's easy for your hand to come forward, you know. And but when it's the type of back wall that, you know, it's hard to get your hand to come down off of, it makes it easier for you to stay there at full draw and relax and release the shot. You know, the finish on their limbs clearly looks different to me than the, you know, that outer edge has looked in the past. So I know that BowTech has had some issues with their limbs over the past couple of years. You know, there's been, you know, some complaints about that, but, you know, it does look like they've made some changes to their limbs. And from what I've been hearing from, you know, talk, a lot of people think that, you know, they've gotten that straightened out now. All right, so let's go over the numbers that I got while I was testing these bows out. I wrote them all down on my spec sheet, and then what I did is I printed those, or I put those into a document next to the manufacturer's sort of specifications and what they say the bow will do, and things like that. So let's take a look at the Range 6 first. Now I tested both bows on the performance setting and the comfort setting, so we're going to look at both. On the performance setting, the speed was 347 feet per second, and that is compared to BowTech's advertised speed of 350 feet per second. And that's one of the closest representations that I came across in this whole review series. So that's good. I mean, there's such mild variations that could take place between the way they tested it and what way I did. 3 feet per second really isn't much. And so that was nice to see. The speed on the comfort setting, as you look below my 347, it came in at 338 feet per second. Now let's look over at the noise column. On the performance setting, it came in at 75.3 decibels for the 5 grain per pound arrow, the 350 grain arrow. And if you look down a little bit to the comfort setting, the noise was 74.5 decibels. Now that 75.3 was second in noise only to one of the Hoyt bows, but this 74.5 is actually the quietest bow that I clocked. So if you're planning to shoot this bow on the comfort setting, it's actually the quietest bow I shot out of all the bows that I shot. Now, if you look over to the right there, I have a back wall rating. And the back wall rating is how solid it is on the back wall. Can you move your hand at all when you're on the back wall? In the performance setting, I felt I could move it a little bit, so I gave it a 9 out of 10. But to my surprise, when I switched it to the comfort setting, it was really solid. It was actually the solidest back wall of any cable stop bow that I shot, and I gave it a 10 out of 10 because it was really solid. Now if you look over one more column, the letdown, that's how easy your hand comes off of the back wall. When it's on the performance setting, you can relax your muscles to a point where your hand's going to come forward. I gave it a 7 out of 10. But when it's on the comfort setting, I relaxed my muscles as much as I could, and it still did not come down. I felt like I had to physically push my hand forward to get it to come down off of the back wall. So that got a 10 out of 10, and that is one of the best back walls in both categories that I experienced in all of the bows that I shot. Let's look down at the Range 7. On the performance setting, the speed was 333 feet per second in my testing, next to their 340 feet per second advertised speed. Now, I didn't have anything to verify the draw length and draw weight of these bows, and that's something I would like to try to raise funds for going into next year. I want to get a portable draw board with a scale on it, so I can test every single bow and see if it's at the right draw length and at the right draw weight. So there could have been a variation there that I'm not aware of, because 333 is significantly lower in comparison to how the performance setting performed on the Range 6. But anyway, my clock speeds was 333 average, and on the comfort setting was 324. Now if we look over at the noise of the Range 7 actually came in a little louder at 76.1 decibels in the performance and 75.8 decibels in the comfort setting. For the back wall, how solid it felt, the performance setting was 9 out of 10, so I felt like I can move it a little bit. And on the comfort setting, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I didn't verify to see if the draw stops were perfectly in time. That could have made an impact on that 9 out of 10 rating and why the Reign 7 didn't score as highly as the Reign 6 as far as the solid back wall on the comfort setting. Which that's something I could check and verify if I had a draw board, a portable draw board with me. And again, those go for a couple $100. If you want to help me raise the funds to get that, there's going to be a link for that in the description section of this video. Anyway, let's look over at the last rating there, the letdown. In the performance setting, it was 7 out of 10 for coming off of the back wall. And again, in the comfort setting, it was a 10 out of 10 rating. So those are the results of the Reign 6 and the Reign 7, and it's essentially almost going over 4 bows because it's a different bow, not just in speed, but even how it behaves on the back wall between the performance and the comfort setting. It's also a much different draw cycle feel between the two settings. I have to say overall though, this was a great bow. And I really like it, and I'm looking forward to sharing how it compares with all the other bows. When I get to the end of this whole series, I'm going to do a summary of my favorite bows, the highest rated bows, and my top picks for the year. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Coming up next though, I'm going to be going over the Mathews Halon series, and I am really looking forward to showing you how those bows shape up, especially compared to this BowTech, the Hoyt that I did in the last video, and the Expedition bows that I did in the video before that. So if you haven't seen those, make sure you get over to check those. Anyway, I'm looking forward to sharing more. So stay tuned for that. Again, check the description section of this video for more information. Take care, God bless, and thanks for tuning in.